This is a true story about something I experienced a long time ago and still bothers me today. In 1988, a friend and I were staying in an extremely small one-bedroom house for a week in the middle of the Allegheny Mountains. The closest neighbor was almost 5 miles away. There was nothing around but country. Late one night, we were up listening to music and heard a dog scratching at the door. It was a small, friendly Jack Russell, so we let it in and gave it some food and water. We were sitting in the living room when the dog ran past into the bedroom, then slowly backed out of the bedroom, growling and snarling with the fur on his back standing straight up. We both stood up, grabbed our jackets, and walked out of the house. We stood outside the front door calling for the dog, but the dog wouldn't come, so we shut the door and walked away from the house to calm down because it freaked us out a little. We kept our eyes on the front door. There was no back door, and the house was easy to see because the porch light was the only light around for miles. It was dead quiet. We didn't hear anything. We couldn't even hear the dog anymore. After about 30 minutes, we went back into the house and the dog was gone. We never seen it again. For a few days, we tried to figure out how the dog could have gotten out of the house or what could have spooked it so bad that night, but we never did. The dog couldn't have gotten out without someone letting it out. We didn't see anyone come out, and as far as we could tell, there was no one around for miles. We didn't see another person or a car drive past the entire time we stayed there. Me and the friend that was there that day are still friends today. Every now and again, we bring it up and try to explain it in a way that makes sense, but we never can. Story 2. This is a true story about a reoccurring night terror I had as a teenager. I awake with a start. At first glance, I can't tell what awoke me. I look around my room, dazed and half asleep, only to realize everything seems perfectly normal aside from the bedside lamp I had left on. That's when I notice the muffled sound of running water behind me. My bathroom is outside of my room on the opposite side of the wall that my headboard is against. I look at the time, confused as it reads 3:14. My brother is the only person I share the bathroom on this end of the house with. This confuses me more because he doesn't take baths, something about swimming in your own dirt, nor would he be awake at this hour. I try to go back to sleep, but soon I hear the water begin to overflow out of the tub and rush into the floor. I jolt back up in my bed and throw the covers off, and before my feet even hit the floor, I hear the knob on the faucet turn. The trickling comes to a stop. I freeze, waiting. I hear the sound of whoever it is get up out of the water, and soon, 2 wet feet slap the tile. The wet slaps continue, and in a few steps I hear the bathroom door creak open, and the footsteps continue down the hall towards my door. I quickly cover myself back up and pretend to be asleep, not wanting to see the naked anomaly. Knowing if it had been my brother, I'd have heard him drain the water. I'd have heard a towel be pulled down from the rack. I shut my eyes and focus on slowing my breathing against my racing heart as the steps come to a stop outside my door. After a long pause, the door suddenly slams open, hard into the wall, causing me to jump. I awake with a start, unsure at first about what exactly woke me. I look around, but everything is in its place, aside from the bedside lamp I left on. That's when I begin to notice the sound of running water behind me. Story 3. My small town was pretty uneventful and quiet. Just like most small towns, this was the type of place where everywhere you went, you would bump into someone familiar. So anything of even the slightest interest would have everyone absolutely buzzing with conversation. Word got out pretty quickly that a distraught family had awoken to realize their daughter was missing. We had a sense of camaraderie in our small community. Looking out for each other was the norm. Besides, what else do we have if not each other? Ashley was your stereotypical little girl. She loved her dolls and Barbies and would spend countless hours hosting tea parties with them. Missing poster signs sprang up all over town. There wasn't a place you could go that you wouldn't see her picture plastered up on a poster. Police investigations always turned up with nothing. Everyone started to become increasingly frustrated that there were no leads. No signs of break-in, no signs of a struggle, just nothing. Ashley had seemingly just vanished into thin air, and the parents became more and more disheartened with each passing day. All they wanted was their precious little girl back. Becoming worried that the police would soon shut the case, Ashley's parents decided it was time to take matters into their own hands. If their daughter was out there, they were going to find her no matter the cost. As stated, this was a tight-knit community, and everyone was devastated for the family. People were often visiting the grieving family to offer condolences and support in any way they could help. Who would do this to an innocent little girl? Their hearts hurt right there with them. Ashley's parents suggested it would be a good idea to gather as many of the townspeople they could and go on their own search. Even though police had done their own sweep, they assumed they had to be overlooking something. People don't just vanish from their beds at night, never to be seen again. Now, with a decently sized group of people, they started their search. Scrounging every single area of the town turned up nothing. They started to question if they should venture out farther from the town before someone asked, "Has anyone checked in the woods?" It was a valid question because that particular area seemed to have been the only place at this point that wasn't thoroughly searched by the town's people. By this time, nightfall would be coming soon. They knew they wouldn't be prepared as is. Everyone rushed to their homes to gather flashlights and supplies to aid them with the search. After everyone had gathered what they needed, it was time to begin the search. These woods were very dense and dark even during the day, so finding Ashley would prove to be difficult if she was even in there to begin with. They also feared for the worst if they did discover her. After a long hike and search, everyone started to feel like Ashley would never be found. Then, from the back of the group, someone stated, "Hey, there's something on the ground over here." Everyone rushed over to where the man was pointing his light. Looking down, everyone became heartbroken when they discovered it was one of Ashley's favorite dolls. Their heartbreak turned to horror when they discovered another doll laying beside it holding hands. A doll that was unfamiliar to her parents that they knew she didn't have, one that resembled the little girl identically. Ashley was finally found,